what's obsession with signing players from Championship? I know you can't probably more for manager, but your perspective on that, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, look, so I was talking today, and I often think about it, that when you get into a league, in our instance in League One, obviously with an intention of getting out, in some ways it's deciding who you think your chief opposition is going to be and stealing their best players to weaken them and strengthen yourself, isn't it? So, I mean, that's sort of a topic that's debated often. Whether you can achieve it's a different matter, but there's a logic that says because you're the big club in the league, that some of those players, a lot of those players may want to come and play for Sheffield United because they can see the aims of Championship and beyond for their career. Yeah, no, so there is some of that we talk about tactically. Pulling it off is often the difficult thing. It's a player maybe doesn't want to leave the club he's at because he's local to that area. There's all sorts of reasons. But I don't think we've exploited that route very well so far. So there's a lot talked about. Sir.
Hi Kevin, my name's Dan.
Hi Dan.
My question is about player sales. 2 seasons ago, Jamie Murphy was the best player in this division, bar none. And we got 1.5, 1.75 million for him. Peterborough managed to sell a Sombalonga for 5.5 million and Connor Washington after half a good season for 3.5. No problem with us selling players because that's the size of club we are. Why don't we get market value and above for them? Southampton were selling Bale, Walcott, Oxlade-Chamberlain for 10+ million when they were in the 3rd division.
Well, I think they were probably in the Championship. But your question's a fair one again, and I can only say with Jamie, who did want to go, he did want to play in the Championship, that we had 2 clubs offering for him, 2 Championship clubs, not Premiership clubs. So it probably was a fair price. I mean, you can quote me another example, but I think it probably was a fair price, and the lad wanted to go. Yeah, but well, then I'm only repeating. There were 2 sides bidding. They were both making offers to buy Jamie, and we got more than the figure you're referring to. Carl, what was the figure for Jamie Murphy? Over 2 million. It still doesn't seem to compare with the example you're giving me, but I'd say there must be many examples as well as Jamie Murphy of players that supporters could say are undervalued. Why would we want to sell him cheaply is the question you should ask me. And the answer is, of course, we won't sell him cheaply. If the player wants to go, we'll do our darndest to get the best price. It may not seem the best price to supporters who aren't in the front line, but if we reckon it is, that's what we're after, isn't it, to get the best price? So I take your question. I can't give you a perfect answer because I can't do the comparables between the player from Peterborough who went... Where did he go to? Okay, yeah. Have they succeeded there? Really? No. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but look, you don't think we're not trying to get the best price, do you?
I don't. I just
yeah.
I think we overbuy and sell.
Well, I think we've overbought. I agree with you there. Okay, but point taken. I can't give you an answer beyond that.
Okay, Kevin. Question at the back with Matt.
Hi, Kevin. It's Sean. In light of the damaging elite player performance plan legislation, does the club have to recalibrate the aims and expectations of the academy and face the harsh reality? And a side question, is there a desire to become a Category 1 academy in order to protect it?
Does Travis want to have a go answering that, please, Trav?
Don't forget to give us your name.
Cheers, John. Could you repeat that, please? I'm learning. Seriously, would you repeat that? Oh, right. So, you mentioned E-Triple-P in terms of, do we need to seriously consider, you can just nod, seriously consider the Academy's role? Right, so... If I answer the first part, so I think you're aiming at, do we spend too much money and do we get the returns from it? Is that... Yes, we have.
Well, if we're category 2, that's
He knows a
gonna
bit, this lad.
Well, if the Academy's category 2, that's going to continue to happen. The cream of the crop's going to be stolen from the big clubs with the category 1 academies.
Right, okay.
So is there a desire to move it to category 1? Should we face reality and, you know, with the whole thing's been focused on the academy being the thing that's going to move us through the leagues, but can that be a reality while ever the academy's category 2?
It can be a reality. We're in League One after all. It's not the best league in the world, so we can do that part of the bargain. In terms of protecting ourselves, Manchester City can buy players for £100 million. We can't keep 11-year-olds, because that's what you're alluding to. But a kid can go, what's £9 to Manchester City? They nicked our 2 best 11-year-olds for £9 a piece. We might get a bit more. No, listen, this is part of the question, because those kids could end up in our first team if they stayed here. But it doesn't matter if you're category 1 or not. The money's nothing to Man City. So, talking about Jamie Murphy moving, kids will move, parents will move for the highest buck. So it's irrelevant what category we are in terms of protecting players. So that'll be the first bit. No, we wouldn't.
Guys, can we get a microphone to you? Because these are great questions and nobody can eat this side of the room. Get one across there, Kate. Cheers. Just reiterate for us again, because these are good questions.
So, a few years ago, we had a player called Jacob Mellis, and he was stolen from the academy system.
Chelsea.
And it was reported that we got 1 million for him. I don't know what the exact figure were. It probably a lot.
I think it was 400,000 with add-ons that never occurred because he burnt down a pavilion.
He's a good sort.
Yeah.
We educated him well.
My point is, we wouldn't get the same figure today. We wouldn't get 400,000 for Jacob Mellis if the exact same scenario happened tomorrow. So is the academy financially viable going forward while ever it's category 2? Some clubs have shut their academies down due to the EPP legislation.
Right, okay, so if we can get kids out there, E-Triple-P's out the window. So as soon as they play in the first team, as soon as they're on a scholarship, as soon as they're on a pro contract, so we get them to the age of 16, 14, the money becomes economically good for the football club. Now, obviously, we want to retain them. We want them to end up like Jagielkas, Walkers, Nortons. But just leading to the categorisation, Arsenal can buy Chelsea's best player for 100 grand at 14, so who's protected? Do you know what I mean? The categorisation is irrelevant in terms of keeping your best players. Where it does become relevant is if we're trying to sign an 8-year-old off of Norfolk Park and Man City are paying his mum and dad £500 a month petrol, that it does again, is that categorisation or is that mum and dad wanting to fill the tank up? So I genuinely believe category 2 status for us is about right for where we are. I think players will come through whether we're category 1 or category 2. Our nearest and dearest are all category 2 currently, so there isn't that external pressure to change. But if Sheffield Wednesday went category 1 tomorrow, I wouldn't be worried. I wouldn't.
Do you still think it's financially viable, which is like the crux of my point, really?
Yeah, I'll say that. Of course, it's
financial. We're talking about Kyle Walker and Kyle Norton. If they came through today, would somebody steal them?
It's not.
Yeah, but we'd get the money we got for them now. They played in the first team. E-Triple-P's only.
But they reached the first team. That's the point. The cream of the
crop. But kids have been nicked. It's as old as time.
Kids
have gone for forever. The recategorisation was done for the big boys. Everybody knows that. The Premier League did it for the big boys. But they can only have so many players. There's a lot of talent out there. They might take the best 11-year-old, they might take the best 14-year-old, but it does work both ways. Now, what we need to get better at is, if a kid comes out of City at 16, we can't be too picky to get a well, we've got a Sheffield boy here. If he's better than what he adds to what we've got, we need to be mindful of that and take the best talent we can, like I alluded to earlier, with Che Adams. Hopefully he'll go for more than what we bought him for. Hopefully he doesn't go. And the boy out of, David Brooks we took out of Man City, he's going into his second year pro now, and we do need to get better at that. And that's part of Lee Turnbull's job, that's part of Steve Holmes' job, that's part of my job. But in terms of the is it viable, are we protected, the bottom line is our academy has produced more than what it's cost. Would that be fair to say?
It would, and look, if we're in the Championship again, we'll be considering whether to uplift to Category 1 status. It's not on our agenda whilst we're in League One. Thanks, Travis.
Thanks, Trav. Thanks, Kevin. We've got a question down here, Kate. We've got the microphones back in. Got two over on this side. Yeah, Gary, gentleman down here with the hand up at the front. Are you waiting patiently? Once again, say your name, please.
Hi, Kevin. Name's James. First of all, I've still not really forgiven the club for selling Jan off. And I think
neither have I.
I think that's echoed across the room. My question is, you're a businessman, you've been very successful in property. Financially, business-wise, what's the justification to the point the gent made down there to selling somebody like McDonald? Because I'm a businessman myself, I don't see how, at that point, selling it to your rival for whatever price, it's financially viable, because you think of the cost-benefit analysis. You're selling, like you said earlier, they've picked from our rivals. We'd set up a team that year that was to win, and McDonald was a big part of that. I'm not, for one instance, because we're way bigger than Manchester United, comparing us to Cristiano Ronaldo, but Manchester United made an agreement, look, we can't sell you because we'll lose face to Real Madrid. We'll sell you next year, but we cannot sell you this year. Wouldn't that not have been a good idea with McDonald to have said, look, we can't sell you this year? Because I think we'd have gone up that year, and it happens.
Look, it would have been a great idea,
yeah.
But there was a condition in his contract. When we signed him from Burnley, like it or not, there was a condition in his contract that if some club offered not less than X and he could agree terms with that club, he could go, and that's exactly what happened. And then, as I may say, it's not unusual in certain player contracts, because Kevin McDonald was an excellent player for us, so I agree. And it's one of these frustrations you have in football. These sort of things didn't happen in Derek Dooley's day. It's those sort of conditions in contracts that prevail more and more.
Yeah.
Even when we have an instance with one of our youngsters at the moment where not the youngster, but the agent would like a similar condition when he signs a new contract, so that if somebody offers X, he can go, which is unfair on the club. But sometimes, what do? Or else you actually lose them there and then. So that was the reason with Kevin McDonald. It was the condition in the contract that we could do nothing about, because we did try and persuade him in respect to that condition and offer him further terms.
My final question then is, I've got a couple of mates that do play in this league and the one above, and so I understand how if there's clauses, but why would he want to choose Wolves over us? I know that's not a question you can answer, but we're just as big.
Every move brings normally a better financial reward for the player and the player's agent. That's the simplest answer I can give you. Every move. And I suspect you'll find Kevin will move on from Wolves at the end of this season. If you look at some of the players who've made real wealth, it's through transfers, isn't it? Going from Club A to Club B to Club C. It's a fact of life. And the wealth of players in this day and age, including those in League One level, or certainly at our League One level, what they earn now compared to Dave Bassett's era, or indeed, latter part of Neil Warnock's era, it's gone whoosh. Frightening.
Thanks for that, guys. It's always going to be transfer questions come up, and historically, we've already mentioned Kevin McDonald, we've mentioned Jan Fiotov. Let's try and get some questions about today. Now, the future and where we're going to go for next season, because we talk about transfers all night. Yeah, Tom at the back there.